Good morning, students. Welcome to my home. You DE students, congratulations on fall break. I hope you're having a good time. You are halfway there. The rest of you at Lee, well, so sorry. Maybe next time. I'm going to be sending out a link in the description to this YouTube video of your next assignment. And it is through OWL, as everything is with this class. So make sure that you are familiar with the owl.purdue.edu website. This will be your argumentative essay. So I'm going to go through the link that I'm about to send to you so that there's no questions. As I said, this is your next paper. It is an argumentative essay, and you'll need to know how to do this to get through college. So you've done the narrative and you've done the summary analysis response essays. And the summary analysis response essays are looking pretty good. You've learned that you've demonstrated that you know how to research. Now it's time to put that research into an argumentative essay. Now it's time to take a stand on this research that you've accrued, this knowledge that you've accrued, and make a contribution to the conversation. So here we go. I'm just going to go through the handout that I'm sending you line by line. So an argumentative essay calls for extensive research of literature on previously published material. So you'll be using the peer-reviewed databases to support a thesis. The structure of the argumentative essay is held together by the following: a clear, concise, and defined thesis statement that occurs in the first paragraph of the essay. So let's talk about that first paragraph of the essay. This will be a 3-page essay, nothing new there, standard MLA format. So in your introductory paragraph, I'm looking for 3 things. The first thing that I'm looking for is a hook. Now I want you to transcend the middle school and lower high school method of a hook that usually looks something like this. Have you ever blank? Well, I've blanked. And then you begin your essay in earnest. I'm looking for you to get away from that. So let's talk about the hook. The hook, the lead-in, and the thesis statement make up the 3 parts of your introductory paragraph. The hook, instead of have you ever blanked? Well, I've blanked, should instead be a startling statistic, a truly provocative question, or, if appropriate, a personal narrative. Now, usually the old school mentality was you never use personal narratives in your argumentative essays or any of your academic writing. That's not necessarily the case. To truly sell a point, sometimes the most powerful weapon that you have is story, the power of story. It's deeply encoded in us as humans. So in your hook, sometimes a personal narrative or a narrative of someone else that demonstrates what you are talking about, that really through narrative makes an argument for your thesis statement, can be appropriate. So you have a story about whatever it is that you're talking about that illustrates the point. For example, when Christ was trying to make a point, he used parables. You can have a provocative question. I personally love a startling statistic. I love a well-researched statistic that really shocks the reader. Another thing that you can do for your hook is to use a quote. Sometimes a quote is very appropriate. I'd be very careful, though, because it can be done right and it can be done wrong. And when it's done wrong, it's very wrong. So a quote that encapsulates the point of your essay can sometimes be appropriate. Next comes your lead-in. This is mainly just a connecting sentence or two that leads into your thesis statement. And we'll talk more about that later. To end your introductory paragraph, I want a thesis statement. Now, a thesis statement, you've been told over the years, is just the main idea. Well, I'm looking for a little bit more than that. Rather than you just telling me that the thesis statement is the main idea, I want you to have it in your mind that the thesis statement is what you are trying to prove. Remember, this is an argumentative essay. You are making a statement and then arguing for that statement throughout the rest of your essay. It is what you are trying to convince me of. It is your claim. It is your warrant. It is what you are trying to prove. This is your thesis statement. So long as you have a clear, concise thesis statement, the rest of the paper will write itself. And we'll workshop thesis statements later on in class. So again, as OWL states, a clear, concise, and defined thesis statement must occur in the first paragraph of the essay. All right. The directions are pretty straightforward as follows. Now, after you have your introductory paragraph, the rest of it's easy. Next come your body paragraphs. Your body paragraphs is you either using your own personal logic to defend your thesis, or using research from peer-reviewed sources to sell your point. In this essay, I am looking for both. I'm looking for a minimum of 5 peer-reviewed sources for you to reference throughout this essay. And you use the sandwich technique. According to so-and-so, and you either do an open quote and then do a direct quote that's appropriately cited to make your point, or you do a paraphrase. Either way, you cite it appropriately. And then, unless it's immediately apparent after that quote or that paraphrase, you explain why that quote or paraphrase relates back to your thesis in defending your argument. And remember, introduce your sources. This also is a good thing in that it increases your word count and your page count for free. You don't have to have originally generated content to prove the validity of your source. Remember the David S. Pumpkins sketch. Just name dropping means nothing. Tell me who this person is and why I should care what they have to say. Why I should care what they have to say about your topic. Credibility is very important. Now, let's continue. Be sure to read this. There's so much good stuff on here. Before you contact me with a question, I really want you to take a look at this link that I'm sending you. When we get to the concluding paragraphs, you may or may not choose to do a counterclaim. I am encouraging a counterclaim for this essay, but you do not have to, it is not required for this assignment. So with the counterclaim, it's not merely a restatement of the other side's thesis. That detracts from your argument. Every sentence, even your counterclaim, should be in defense of your thesis statement. So what we do with a counterclaim is we're not just delineating the other side's thesis statement, the other side's argument. We are discrediting the other side's argument. We have, up to this point, we have defended our thesis with evidence. On the counterclaim, we are attacking the other side. We are going from a defense to an attack on the counterclaim. We have defended our thesis. Now it's time to attack the other side of the argument. That's what the purpose of a counterclaim is for. In the concluding paragraph, we'll talk more about what to do in a concluding paragraph because it's more about style. It's not just a mere restatement of the thesis. I don't need that. We have many stylistic concerns to address in the concluding paragraph. I can't emphasize the importance of this enough. The argumentative essay will sustain you from this level to the graduate level to the doctoral level. If you master the argumentative essay, it will sustain you throughout your secondary and post-secondary career. I can promise you this. At the doctoral level currently, what I am doing right now in terms of my research or in terms of my writing is nothing more than an advanced level of the 5-paragraph essay that I learned in middle school. I can't emphasize that enough. If you get this down, you are going to be fine throughout your post-secondary career. All right, let's look at anything else I might have missed. Yeah, it's just 3 pages. So in conclusion, what I'm looking for is statement of your argument, your thesis statement. Your thesis statement. Here's what I believe. Your body paragraph. Here's a reason why. Your second body paragraph. Here's another reason why. Your third body paragraph. Here's some numbers from the University of from Northwestern, published by Professor Fuzzy Britches of the School of Economics out of Chicago. And you give a direct quote from Professor Fuzzy Britches that proves why your thesis statement is correct. Fourth thesis statement. You use some of your own reasoning to justify why your thesis is correct. Maybe you have a story to encapsulate what's going on. You provide a case study. Let's say you're arguing for an overhaul of healthcare. You make a point, you make another point, you argue it from an economic standpoint, you argue it from a moral standpoint, and then you use a story. You actually find a person who has been personally victimized by the healthcare system, and you provide that story to make me feel the evidence. Ethos, pathos, logos. We always want to appeal to the heart and the mind of our reader. That is very important. I think that about concludes it, y'all. Remember, there is no class on Thursday. Remember that the link to the directions for the argumentative essay are posted in the description to this video. And y'all have a wonderful fall break. DE students, Lee students, buckle down in your classes. Please send me an email if you get stuck and would like to begin on this early. When I come back, we will address any issues or concerns that you have on the argumentative essays. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.